I am Aligar Lingappa, Assistant Professor at Government Postgrad College, Sirguppa. Today, I will discuss about neutrino hypothesis. Then, who discovered neutrino? When it was emitted? Then, what about its properties? That means the charge of neutrino. Is it obeys law of conservation of charge, law of conservation of linear momentum, and all those things. Radioactivity. Radioactivity. So what we know that radioactive means the spontaneous disintegration of radioactive element with the emission of highly energetic radiations is known as radioactivity. Historically, the products of radioactivity, they were called alpha particles, beta particles, and gamma particles. So below the diagram which indicates that how the particles that can be differentiated. So here the lead block which contain radioactive sample like uranium, thorium, radium, where radioactive sample which emits radiations, so called radioactive radiations. If the radioactive radiations are made to pass through the magnetic field, some of the radiations which are bending towards the left side, some of the radiations which are bending towards the right side, so some of the radiations which travels along the same straight line without bending, so in the presence of magnetic field. So similarly, the right side diagram which indicates that the same radiations, if they are made to pass through the electric field, so between the two electrodes, say positive electrode and a negative electrode, so some of the radiations which are bending towards negative electrode, some of the radiations which are bending towards positive electrodes, so some of the radiations which travels along the same straight line. What about the radiations which are bending towards negative electrodes? So they consist of positively charged particles. So what about the radiations which are bending towards positive electrodes? So they consist of negatively charged particles. So based on that basic principles or idea, like charges repel each other and unlike charges attract each other. So based on that, what about the radiations which are bending towards negative electrode? They consist of positively charged particles, so they are called alpha particles. Some of the radiations which bend towards positive electrode, they consist of negatively charged particles, so called beta particles. Whereas some of the particles which traverse along the same straight line without bending, so they consist of chargeless particles, so called photon. Where alpha particles, the alpha particle usually which can be represented by the helium nucleus, which consists of 2 protons and 2 neutrons, say 2He4. Whereas the beta particle which can be represented by the electron, so E. Whereas the gamma particle which consists of photons, where gamma radiation is the electromagnetic radiation because which do not affected by both electric and magnetic fields. Whereas the alpha and beta, they are not electromagnetic radiations because they are affected by both electric and magnetic fields. So now we have discussed about beta decay. So then what about the how the beta decay which takes place? So previous class usually we discussed about alpha decay, then how it takes place, then what happens if suppose the parent nuclei, if it emits alpha particles, all those things. So now we have discussed about beta decay. So what is beta decay? When it was occur, then what about the nature of the beta decay? Say carbon 614, isotope of carbon, if it emits beta minus particles, so then it becomes nitrogen 714, so with the emission of electron. So similarly in the below example, fluorine 918, if it emits beta plus particles, then which becomes oxygen 818, so called with the emission of electron and then one more particle, so called neutrino. So in the case of beta minus decay, where antineutrino is emitted, so whereas in case of beta plus, one more particle, say neutrino, emitted along with the beta particles, so called this is the process of beta decay. So beta particles are electrons or positrons. Electrons with a positive electric charge are anti-electrons, where beta decay occurs when in a nucleus with too many protons or too many neutrons, one of the protons or neutrons is transformed into the other. What we discussed in the previous class, so usually the electrons, so the beta particles may be either electron or positron, where electrons with a positive electric charge, so called anti-electrons, so they are called positrons. So beta decay which occur usually the transmission of proton into neutron or neutron into proton. So then we have three types of beta decay: negatron emission, positron emission, orbital electron capture. So in case of negatron emission, in a beta minus decay, a neutron decays into a proton, an electron and an antineutrino. So that means if suppose the neutron, if it is transformed into a proton, where emits electron along with the antineutrino. So if suppose a tritium 1H3, if it emits beta particle, then which becomes 2H3, so called this is the example for negatron emission. So similarly positron emission, in a beta plus decay, proton decays into a neutron or a positron or a neutrino. If the proton, if it is transformed into neutron, where emits a beta plus particle, so called positron, along with the neutrino. So P becomes N with the emission of E plus and nu. So example, carbon 611. If it emits a beta plus particle, then it becomes boron 511. So this is the very good example for positron emission. So then, so both electrons occur because in different regions of chart of the nucleides. One or the other will move the product closer to the region of stability. So the orbital electron capture, this is the third type of beta decay. So beta decay takes place by the orbital electron capture, say the electron which can be captured by the K shell, where proton to be converted into neutron, if the proton, if it captured beta plus, so then which converted into neutron. Suppose say beryllium 47, if it captured electron, then it becomes a lithium 37. So this is the example for orbital electron capture. So these particular reactions takes place because conservation laws are obeyed. Electric charge conservation requires that if an electrically neutral neutron becomes a positively charged proton, an electrically negative particle. In this case, an electron must also be produced. So now we have discussed about the important topic, so-called neutrino hypothesis. Then Pauli proposed this neutrino hypothesis. Pauli suggested that the continuum spectrum might be due to one more invisible light neutral particle, later to be named neutrino, involved in the beta decay. It could not be photons. They would be easily detected. It had to be something else and might be undetectable at all. So Pauli was suggested that along with the beta particle, so one more invisible particle, easily detectable particle, which is emitted during beta decay. With the three particles involved, an electron would be able to take any momentum from 0 to the maximum allowed, the balance being taken care of by the other light individual particles, so-called neutrino. So that means in the absence of neutrino, the beta decay process, so in which where the linear momentum does not conserve. So then Pauli was introduced new particle, so called neutrino, for the study of law of conservation of momentum in case of beta decay. To overcome the difficulties of continuous beta rate spectrum, law of conservation of angular momentum and law of conservation of energy. So where the continuous beta array spectrum which indicates that where energy of the beta particle is not a constant, so maybe the energy of the beta particle varies from 0 to maximum, so then which does not obey the law of conservation of energy and also law of conservation of linear momentum. So in 1930, Pauli proposed that if an uncharged particle of 0 mass and half h cross is emitted in beta decay with the electron, then the energy, angular momentum and linear momentum will be conserved in a beta decay process. So before 1930, so before neutrino concept, where beta decay, which do not obey law of conservation of energy, law of conservation of angular momentum and law of conservation of linear momentum. So then in 1930, Pauli was proposed, so discovered new particle, so called neutrino. After that, so then the energy, angular momentum and linear momentum, all they are conserved in a beta decay process. So the debates to explain the beta decay were successfully explained by Pauli by introducing a new particle called neutrino. So that means where d minutes to explain the beta decay was successfully explained by Pauli by introducing a new particle called a neutrino. So then what about the characteristics of neutrino? Neutrino is a chargeless particle. The rest mass of neutrino is almost 0. Neutrino has a spin of h. Neutrino are regarded as a carrier of variable energy. So that means the energy, the sum of the energy of electron, and that means the beta particle neutrino varies from 0 to maximum. So the total energy sharing between that of the beta particle and the neutrino, so called where the law of conservation of energy to be conserved, the law of linear momentum is conserved, law of angular momentum is also conserved. It carries an energy equal to the difference between Q and the actual electron kinetic energy. So what about the energy carried by the neutrino is equal to the energy difference between Q value and actual kinetic energy of the electron emitted during beta decay. So later it was found that there are two kinds of neutrinos involved in beta decay. So they are called neutrino and antineutrino. Antineutrino is the antiparticle of neutrino. So that means neutrino and antineutrino, they have same mass but opposite in nature. In 1934, Fermi developed a theory called a neutrino theory of beta decay based upon Pauli's hypothesis. In a negatron emission, when a neutron gets converts into a proton, an electron and an antineutrino are emitted. So just you see the formula where a neutron, if it converts into a proton, so then where beta minus particle and antineutrino, they are emitted. What about the energy released? So sharing between the beta minus particle and antineutrino. So that means the process which obeys law of conservation of energy, law of conservation of linear momentum, law of conservation of angular momentum. So if it obeys all those laws, then we say that the process which takes place in our nature. If any process violates any one of the laws, maybe law of conservation of charge, law of conservation of linear momentum, law of conservation of angular momentum, and so on, then we say that the process should not take place in our nature, should not take place in our nature. If it obeys all those laws, then only we say that the process which takes place in our nature. So that means this process which obeys the law of conservation of energy, law of conservation of linear momentum, law of conservation of angular momentum, law of conservation of charge, law of conservation of spin, all the laws. So we say that the process which takes place in our nature. So in this process, the anti-neutron will always have a spin opposite to that of the electron. If the electron has spin of H, then anti-neutrino will have the spin of minus of H or of H cross. Hence angular momentum is conserved. So in the positron emission, when a proton gets converted into a neutron, positron and neutrino are emitted. Say proton gets converted into neutron with the emission of beta plus particle and a neutrino. So in the process, neutrino will always have spin opposite to that of the positron. If positron has spin of half H cross, then the neutrino will have the spin of, so positron has a spin of minus of H cross, and neutrino will have the spin of plus of H cross. They get cancel each other. Then the spin of proton is plus of, so neutron plus of, so then the spin angular momentum is conserved. Charge is conserved, mass number is conserved, atomic number is conserved, energy is conserved, linear momentum is conserved, angular momentum is conserved, everything is conserved in the above process, so that the process which takes place in our nature, hence angular momentum is conserved. In orbital electron capture, when a proton capture an electron to become a neutron, a neutrino will be emitted. So just to see that process, that formula where proton, if it captured electron from the K shell, which converted into a neutron with the emission of neutrino. So that means where the process which obeys all the laws, law of charge, law of conservation of charge, law of conservation of linear momentum, law of conservation of angular momentum, law of conservation of energy. So that the process which takes place in our nature. So that means where negatron emission, positron emission and orbital electron capture, all the processes which takes place. So in those processes obeys all the laws. Maybe law of conservation of energy, maybe law of conservation of linear momentum, and then the law of conservation of charge, and then law of conservation of angular momentum. So, Pauli in 1930 he introduced a new theory, so-called neutrino hypothesis. So then, before this theory, neutrino hypothesis, beta decay process which violates the law of conservation of energy, law of conservation of angular momentum, law of conservation of linear momentum, so then law of conservation of charge. So then after introducing new theory, so-called neutrino hypothesis, so then it was proposed by Pauli in 1930. He introduced a new particle, so-called neutrino, and its antiparticle, so-called antineutrino. Then he was successful to explain beta decay, so maybe negatron decay, maybe positron decay, or orbital electron capture. So called in this class we have discussed about radioactivity. So then different types of radioactivity, then different types of radioactive radiations, then the beta decay, different types of beta decay, neutrino hypothesis, how the neutrino and antineutrino they exist. Then how the law of conservation, law of conservation of energy, law of conservation of linear momentum, law of conservation of angular momentum, all they are obeyed, and so on. Thank you.